Arriving in London on an October morning, the first impression is an unhoped-for blue sky, green parks, white monuments, a busy River Thames and a busy city. Trafalgar Square is one of the hearts of London. It is an important social and political symbol for visitors and Londoners. The square commemorates the Battle of Trafalgar, 1805, a British naval victory during the Napoleonic Wars. In the middle of the square is Nelson's Column, with a statue of Lord Nelson, the admiral who commanded the British fleet at Trafalgar. On the north side of the square is the National Gallery, and to its east, St. Martin's-in-the-Fields Church, with its tall Baroque spire. South Africa House and Canada House are on the east and west sides. The square was the site of major demonstrations for civil rights in the 19th century, held in spite of the authorities' efforts to prevent them. Then there were the famous demonstrations for peace and against war and nuclear weapons on the 19th of September 1961. The continuous anti-apartheid protests outside South Africa House in the 1980s, and the recent demonstrations against wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. The square is where people get together when an event requires participation, like the large vigil after the terrorist bombings in July 2005. The lively atmosphere of the square makes it very popular with tourists who can find here imposing monuments of the past next to the works of modern sculptors, like the statue on the fourth plinth, or of street artists. The avenue from Trafalgar Square to Buckingham Palace is the Mall, created as a ceremonial route in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. In front of Buckingham Palace is the Victoria Memorial, with a large statue of Queen Victoria looking towards the Mall. The other statues are the Angel of Justice, the Angel of Truth and Charity. Buckingham Palace, or the Palace as it is commonly called by the official press, has been the residence of British monarchs since Queen Victoria in 1837. It took almost 3 centuries to build the palace as we see it today. The first part was built as a townhouse by the Duke of Buckingham in 1703, and was bought a few years later in 1762 by King George III as a private residence especially for Queen Charlotte. In fact, it was known as the Queen's House. The last additions were made at the beginning of the 20th century. A flag always flies above Buckingham Palace. When the Queen is in residence, the Royal Standard flies. When the Sovereign is not present, the Union flag flies instead. St. James's Park is the most elegant and oldest park in London. It is between Buckingham Palace and Horse Guards, not far from Westminster Palace. The park was originally created by Henry VIII, who lived in Westminster and wanted a deer park nearby to go hunting. In the 17th century, King James I kept a zoo in the park, which included camels, crocodiles, and even an elephant. When Charles II became king in 1660, he introduced the game pell-mell, which gave the name to the Mall, the avenue that goes through the park. Nowadays, it is a wildlife reserve in the middle of London with squirrels, ducks, swans, and even pelicans. The expression, "it's like Piccadilly Circus," is commonly used in the UK to refer to a place or situation which is extremely busy with people. They say that if you stay some time at Piccadilly Circus, you will eventually bump into everyone you know. Piccadilly Circus was built in 1819 to connect Regent Street with the major shopping street of Piccadilly. At that time it was really circular, but it lost its shape when Shaftesbury Avenue was opened. The circus is at the heart of the West End, near shopping and entertainment areas. It is a busy meeting point and a tourist attraction. The circus is particularly known for its video displays and neon signs on the corner building on the northern side, for the statue known as Eros. There are several famous buildings, like the London Trocadero and the Criterion Theatre. Horse Guards is named after the cavalry regiment, who have mounted the Queen's Life Guard on this spot since the restoration of King Charles II in 1660. Horse Guards remains the official entrance to St James's and Buckingham Palaces, and this is why the Queen's Life Guard is still mounted there. The changing of the guard takes place on Horse Guards Parade by the arch of Horse Guards Building. Horse Guards Parade is where the trooping of the colours is held in June for the Queen's official birthday.